Hey guys, Credible Crypto here, and wanted to make a quick update video on developing price action since my last video that I made, I believe it was 2 days ago. So if you haven't seen the last video, guys, I highly recommend you watch that one first. It explains the background of this video. I'm not going to go into a lot of the stuff that I went into in that video here because it'll just be repeating what I already said. So if you haven't seen the last video, talks about the count that I'm seeing and why I'm expecting us to get a bounce very shortly, a larger bounce. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and go watch that and then come back to this one after. And we're going to pick up from where we left off in the last video. So in the last video, guys, we were seeing, again, this is a leading diagonal is what I'm leaning towards as far as the count goes. And we were working on our, I think it was our fifth wave. Yeah, we're working on our fifth wave of this leading diagonal. And I explained how I came to that conclusion based on my count. And I said that we were working on the fifth and final wave to the downside. And so what we're seeing from here, guys, I said I was going to close my shorts early. I went ahead and closed all my shorts at 34.30, right about here, just to be safe. And then I actually went ahead and I longed 35.60, right about here, for a scalp play. And the reason that I did that is because I'm seeing what looks to be a completed first wave of 3 for our wave 5. So as we know, guys, in again, I talked about this in the last video, in a leading diagonal, or in this particular leading diagonal, every wave is going to be made up of 3 subwaves, right? So our first wave was 1, 2, 3, second was 1, 2, 3, third was 1, 2, 3, and then fourth was 1, 2, 3, and our fifth also needs to be made up of 3 subwaves. What we can see here is what looks to be a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, indicating that our first subwave of 3 for the fifth wave has been complete at this point in time, which is why I'm expecting a bounce now to the upside before we get our last leg lower for this fifth wave to the downside to complete our fifth and final wave here, guys. So I drew this little squiggly a while ago, and the reason I drew it this way is because exactly what I was thinking was we'll get one wave down, we'll get some retracement, and then a final wave down to complete this fifth wave. Most likely that final fifth wave will overthrow the bottom trend line, as we talked about in the last video, because our first wave has already come down and tapped it. So most likely we're going to see an overthrow here. It's going to go below the bottom of this trend line, and then we're going to pop up to the upside because our leading diagonal at that point will be complete. Reasons why I went ahead and took this long: it's a scalp long, just intended to catch this V wave, and then I'll be closing that long. Again, I'll be closing it kind of early, and then I'll look to short if we go a little bit higher. The reason why I don't think is that this is the bottom is we didn't get a strong spike back to the upside. We got a very small bounce, and now we're slowly grinding to the upside. However, again, the reason why I long this is because if we take a look at the volume and RSI, guys, this is going to be key for this right here, if this will load. Alright, so yeah, so if we go down to the 15-minute time frame here, we'll get a little bit better visual of what I'm talking about. So whenever we have an impulsive move, guys, or in this case it's an A wave, this 1 to 5 down that we're seeing here, which is this move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we saw right here. Whenever we get these moves, what we like to see to validate that this is a 5-wave move to the downside is we like to see the third wave tends to be the strongest and the longest, and it also tends to have the strongest volume. And then the fifth wave tends to have less volume than the third wave because at this point the selling pressure is diminishing. And so we like to see peak volume on the third wave and then a decline in volume on this fifth wave to indicate that this wave down is coming to an end. And what we also like to see is a divergence, which you can use RSI for, between the bottom of the third wave and the bottom of the fifth wave to indicate that we're seeing potential of a push to the upside, a reversal, a short-term reversal. So as you can see here, guys, let's see if I can. All right, so as you can see here, let me go to the hourly. We had our wave 1 down, our wave 2. This was our third wave. As you can see, it is the longest wave, and as you can see, volume was the highest on this third wave. We got our fourth wave and we got our fifth wave. On the fifth wave, volume began to decline. You can see from these averages, we peaked at volume here, and then we started to decline in volume on this fifth wave. So I noticed that the volume was declining, and then I also noticed this divergence that seemed to be forming here. So on the hourly, it's very, very clear and visible. We have this bottom here and this bottom here that was forming. and we have price closing here at this bottom, and we were down here. So I noticed that we were already much lower in terms of price, but RSI was having a really hard time pushing lower here. So I figured, hey, if this is the fifth wave, we could be bottoming out. If we do bottom out here, we're going to reverse. We're going to get this bullish divergence, and at the same time, we saw volume was declining, and we also had a clear 3-4 waves down, 4 waves down. So at this point, I was like, all right, we're hitting the bottom of this trend line. We seem to have made 4 waves to the downside already, with just 1 left to go. We're seeing a bullish divergence, and volume is declining. So based on those reasons, I went ahead and longed this low here, and I'm now looking to hold that long. Again, I'm going to cut it early, so I'm looking to hold it to about 34.60. This level is about where I'm looking at as a target to close those longs, and then if we happen to go up higher and maybe test the top of this trend line or test this 3,500 resistance region, at that point I will look to short for this last leg down. As far as targets go, I said we'll likely overthrow, depending on where we end here. For this B wave, let's say we end at 34.60, for example. A perfect 34.60. This would be a 1-to-1, which would put us at around 31.50, a little bit below my green zone. If we go higher than 34.60, let's say we get to that 3,500 level. At that point in time, a perfect 1-to-1 extension will put us right smack dab in the green level for our C leg. So I like that. That looks good to me. That would be ideal. So again, guys, just want to make this quick update video to show you guys that I believe we're now complete with our A wave of our ABC for our 5th and final leg down, which means after this pop to the upside, we should get our absolute last leg to the downside before we see a pop again to the upside. So I will be looking to close my longs, go short, and then I'll again be closing my shorts early, probably at around 33.40 right at this low, and then I'll be looking to long probably just the region between 33.50 down to about 3,200. That's where I'm going to be stacking longs all the way down, and then I think we should get a decent pop to the upside, guys. That is all I have for you guys in this particular video. Just want to explain my reasoning about my reasoning for the last trade that I made, and why I'm expecting this not to be the bounce, but to get one more leg to the downside before we get the actual bounce. If you guys enjoy the video, please like and subscribe on YouTube, and I'll keep posting them as we go. Alright, thanks, bye.